XRCoon42 here. I'm back from my vacation I stayed in my last community post with a new arrival. These have been out since 2017, but since Hornby still have a few coming out in their range later this year, I figured it was still somewhat relevant to review one. Those of you who saw my collection video might remember I already had one of these. I had King George VI, formerly City of Leeds, in the Crimson Lake livery. So we'll look at both of them here. This one, though, is 6220 Coronation in the Scot Blue livery. Let's get her out. Standard Hornby packaging here. So we've got the standard instruction book, just tells you the normal stuff. Where all the accessories go, the lubrication points. You know, all the standard stuff. So I will be adding a new category to my reviews here, and that will be looking at the accessory packs in detail. So, lots of these models will come with accessory packs, as you all know. Not everybody fits them, but some people do. And for those people, it will be useful to know not only what is in them, but how will they fit. I tend to like to fit quite a few of these. For instance, I'm a big fan of adding buffer beam detail to the front end of like the big express engines like this. I won't usually fit like screw link couplings and such to like shunters and things. But when it comes to these express engines, whatever they provide for the front end, I'll put it on. So, the accessory bag for this, you get the alternate trailing axle, the flanged version. You've got the brake rigging. You've got an alternate front bogie with a coupling on it. And then you've got these cylinder drains. And then, if I remember correctly, there are also lamps. Let's see if I can find it here. And a couple other bits and pieces for the front end. Overall pretty good, considering the streamlined ones didn't usually have the screw link couplings fitted. So I'll be looking at both of these in turn, because not only do I have two different liveries, but I also have several different detail variations between the two models. So Coronation here is presented in the lovely Scot Blue livery. The finish is overall slightly plasticky. It's not quite up to par with Hornby's more current releases. All the decoration is very precise. That silver lining. The nameplate, that little etched emblem, it's really nice. And there's also a builder's plate there. Let's see if we can get that on. Let's see if we can have the camera focus on that. There we go. Completely legible builder's plate. That's a good mark right there. All the paneling, all the riveting, totally accurate. Get the front end. We've got the racks and stuff for lamps. Locating holes for various details. The nice chromed buffers that are sprung. The wheels are perfectly lined. Very elegant. Got all the sanding gear. The other parts of the brake rigging. Out of the modern Hornby engines, though, I have to say these streamlined Coronations have my favorite rear trucks assemblies. These are really, that looks really, really good. Got this pipe work. It's plastic, but it's fairly sturdy, fairly rugged. The silvered handrails. Now this one, the first few members of the class had the single chimneys, and the second one I have has the variation of the double chimney. You got the safety valves, which I can feel are made of metal. The whistle is very likely plastic, but the paint seems to match the finish pretty well. And look in that cab. All the bronze and gold pipework, the turning wheels, the fully detailed gauges. That's a superb cab. However, it doesn't have any of the fancy features like Scotsman did with like the glowing firebox and such. And more of the handrails, the cab doors that look really good. Moving on to the tender, this is a little bit more difficult to handle on camera because it's got the older drawbar and wire plug design. Really glad they're doing away with that. The lining is all super crisp. The axle boxes are really fine scale. All the accurate riveting. All the back head with the ladders and the lamp irons, the vacuum pipe there. Sprung buffers again. And there's one detail, it's a little bit difficult to show you on other models, but I found it particularly easy with these. But the vast majority of these models come with removable coal loads. On this one, it's particularly easy to get them in and out. But at the same time, they stay in when you want them in. And under the coal load is an accurate depiction of that hydraulic coal ram that these were known for. Many engines had these, but the Coronations particularly were well known for them. These were notorious coal hogs. For those of you who have not seen it, I will put a link to the Curator with a Camera video where they look at Duchess of Hamilton. Excellent video and very informative if you're interested in the class. Overall, the detail rating for this for me is pretty solid. Oh yeah, I almost forgot my second one. This is King George VI. She appeared in my collection video previously. All the detailing is pretty much the same with a couple of exceptions. You've got the double chimney. And on her front end, I've actually fitted most of her detail pack parts. So she's got her vacuum pipe and a couple other bits and pieces on the front end there. They have the same cab detail. The only thing that's different here is the livery. And even though the livery... There is one thing I think that looks slightly better on this version though, and that's the gold lining versus the silver lining. The silver lining on Coronation there looked a tiny bit more plasticky to me. This looks like proper gold paint or transfers or something. I don't know what's different about it, but the gold on this one is fantastic. Now, I did have a couple of minor quality issues with this specific engine. When I first got her, the side rods were a little bit weak and broke within a couple of weeks of me getting her. So I had to actually order a set of spares and fix up her side rods, which was not ideal. And her front bogie there actually had the wrong length of screw on it, so it would just hang above the track and cause derailments. So I had to replace that too. Not great. Haven't had any such issues with Coronation here though, so overall the quality rating is pretty good. And I can tell you that every detail part from the pack that I fitted to George VI here fit in perfectly and without issue. So her detail pack rating will be, the detail pack rating for these will be pretty good. However, this is a bit of a special occasion. I will be right back with another element to this review. I'll be right back here with another element to this review before we get to the performance testing. So, you can't have a Coronation without a Coronation Scot consist to go with it. So, I painstakingly, with Hornby having recently re-released their Coronation Scot range, I painstakingly researched the order and makeup of the consist and collected the whole accurate consist. Now, the first thing to note instantly is that they made all of the proper coaches except for one, the open third. I checked the designations for the coaches, and in the range, Hornby's products matched all of the proper coach types for the consist, except they did not have open third in the listings. Instead, from what I saw, there was a third running number of the restaurant third open, or RTO. So I just had to fill the slot with that, as opposed to getting a proper open third. Instantly, the detail rating goes down for that. But let's get a good look at these. The decoration is every bit as precise as it is on the engine itself. You've got these possibly etched window blinds with the kitchen car here. That emblem is gorgeous. All the door handles and the handrails are all separately fitted, as is all this roof furniture here. Some of the wiring and pipework seems to be part of the molding. Okay, I take that back. Upon closer inspection there, that's totally separate parts. Got the end cap here with the door. They come with sprung buffers, which honestly is something that's novel for me. I'm not used to seeing sprung buffers on rolling stock. The bogey detail, intricate yet sturdy. The couplings, and I tested them for all of these before filming, they swivel completely freely and there's no lockups at all. Metal wheels, you see there's pickups there, these are lit up. And these are completely free rolling, there's no issues there. The brake rigging there, that bit of rigging, I've seen that being a little bit fragile on a lot of other coaches. But here it's a little bit thicker than you would like detail-wise, but that is a concession made for it being totally sturdy. Like, I can poke at this, it hardly even flexes. All the underframe detail there. And if we pick up a different one here, we can actually start to see some of the interior detail. I believe this is one of the restaurant thirds. Again, the decoration is all completely on point. Everything's perfectly applied. There's no glue marks everywhere. Now, I could spend an hour going over all the details of each individual one and how they got the detail variations completely perfect. But part of the reason you come here is to see performance tests, so we're going to get to that now. And we are now down by the track to start performance testing. I'm only going to show you the testing for one, because of what I can see, after the whole valve gear fiasco with the other one, they both perform pretty much the same way, so this is a pretty good gauge here. So first we're going to see how well she crawls. Is she moving? I think she is. Yeah. Yeah. It's a decent crawl, but not the absolute best. I mean, it's a little bit coggy. But she can crawl. It's not like Sonic A5 grade or anything, but it's solid. And once you speed her up, she's pretty smooth. About that speed, like about this speed, the cogging pretty much ceases and she's perfectly smooth. Okay. She's fairly controllable, not the absolute best crawler in the world, but still pretty solid for what she is. But now, I'm going to give you all a treat, the full Coronation Scot. There's 9 coaches here, and on my tiny table, the engine does struggle a tiny little bit. One of the kitchen cars has some rolling issues, but other than that, they're all perfectly freewheeling, and that combined with this being a pretty strong engine makes it a possible run on my setup. So I'm going to quickly couple her up. Pretty controlled coupling right there. Let's see. Yep, perfectly coupled. Let's take her off. Wrong way. I have to say the restaurant first is my favorite of these coaches because there's like little table lamps in there. She struggles a little bit on this curve, just because the drag of half the coaches being on a curve at the time. If this was a bigger setup, she would not struggle with this at all. So, on to final ratings for both the engine and the coaches. The coaches are pretty straightforward. They get a 4 out of 5 for detail, due to them missing a type of coach in the toolings, as well as a couple of the details looking a little bit chunky. The quality has to be a 4-star on average for the coaches because all of them, except for the kitchen cars, are totally free rolling. The kitchen cars seem to have some kind of resistance that prevents them from rolling totally freely, and I suspect that's one of the main issues it had with the setup. Was a combination of the uneven track on a slightly warped table and the kitchen cars. And the performance for the coaches gets a 5. They never cut... The pickups for the lights never cut out at any point, regardless of there being so many coaches and an engine on there running at high speed. They never cut out at all. And their quality, the other quality, 4 out of 5, like I said, for the kitchens. Just realized I went through that twice. Whoops. Anyway, as for the engines, if I was rating them individually, George VI would get a 3 out of 5 for quality due to the improper screw on the bogie that I had to fix and the valve gear issue that I had to fix. This one, on the other hand, I've had 0 issues with. 5 stars for quality. So, the average there, I guess, would be 4 out of 5 for quality. Issues with one, no issues with the other. The detail is going to be 4 out of 5. They got their detail variations pretty well and the liveries look pretty good. But the finish is a tiny bit plasticky, and there's no, like, fancy blow-your-mind features like glowing fireboxes or smoke units or anything. The performance is a 4 out of 5. They crawl decently well, they're fairly controllable, but it's a little bit coggy at the lower speeds. Not like the A5 I reviewed last time that crawled like it had a coreless motor, in spite of the manufacturer stating it had a poled motor, like a 5-pole motor I think it was. Controllable at the low speeds, not the best at the low speeds, but still fully capable. And like I said, capable of holding 9 coaches around a tiny setup where more than half of them will be on the curve at a time. So the performance rating is good. Performance gets 4 out of 5. Value for money. The current price for these, like if you look at Hornby.com for the current versions of these streamlined coronations, they're retailing on Hornby.com at a little over £240. That I think is too much for these. If I was rating their value scale based on that price, it would be like a 2.5 or a 3 out of 5. Based on the fact that you get a nice engine, you get an engine that looks nice and runs well and is decent quality, but doesn't have any like fancy features or die-cast construction or anything like that. But overall, since I can't say anything for the Christmas present one, the George VI was a Christmas present from my mom. But for this one, I found this one in brand new condition on Clark Railworks for around about £150. And of course, I paid less due to exemption from VAT. In total, price and shipping, post-currency conversion was around $180. And that's pretty good. For that price, I'm very happy with this. So value rating for Hornby's current price, 3 out of 5. Value at the price I paid, 5 out of 5. And the accessory pack rating, I have to give the accessory pack a 5 out of 5 as well. Comes with everything you would want for one of these, pretty much, except for crew. Crew wasn't a thing they were doing at the time they released these. And I don't expect the new versions to have cab crew in the accessory pack. But that seems to be something that's going to be standard with future releases. So, like, I will cut half a star off for not including cab crew. So it'll be 4.5 out of 5 for the accessory pack. That's my ratings for the Hornby Coronations. Have a good day.